Let us be a faith that gathers, reaching out to one another through the walls of hatred and suspicion others build, through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, and through the fear that roams our streets. Let ours be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, guided by a liberating love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, tends wounds with the balm of peace, sings longer and louder than those who would divide us. Let us be that faith too, a faith of solidarity. Let us be the ones who do not turn away, but light up this world with truth and love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary that others seek. But first, let us be a faith that worships together, here, now, in this sacred space. At this moment, let us be that faith. Well, these words from Heidi Cottam welcome all who've gathered this morning for our Sunday service. Welcome to those of you here in the building at Essex Church, and everyone joining us from far and wide via Zoom, or indeed tuning in on YouTube at a later date. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name's James Blackall, and I'm minister with Kensington Unitarians. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin. Many of you in the building have already been informed we are having technical hitches this morning. We're on our Plan B microphone. I will do my best to speak up, as will everyone who speaks today. Fingers crossed. Our service this morning is titled Salt of the Earth, a phrase which in common parlance is typically used to describe people who are thoroughly decent and solid and reliable. But it's a phrase that has biblical origins, and if we look at it in that context, we might discover a different way of understanding that phrase and what it might mean for each of us to be called to be the salt of the earth. Our very own Patricia Brewerton suggested we explore this theme, and she'll be offering her personal reflections on it later on in today's service. But before we go any further, let's do what we always do and light our chalice flame. It's a simple ritual that connects us with Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists the world over, and it reminds us of this proudly progressive religious tradition of which our gathering is part. We light our chalice this morning with our hearts and minds turned to the shared purpose of this congregation. We've inherited this beloved institution from generations of people who went before us, people who believed in the power of human beings to bear love into this world. We carry this tradition for those who find comfort, inspiration and joy within its real and virtual spaces, and we tend the spark of imagination and hope for the world to come. Time to sing together now. Our first hymn this morning is number 43 in your purple books if you're in the church. If you're at home, the words will be up on screen as they will for all the hymns today. Gather the Spirit. Feel free to stand or sit as you prefer for hymn 43. So let's take all of those joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, into an extended time of prayer based on some words by Elizabeth Bookey. You might want to adjust your position, you might want to close your eyes. Perhaps there's a posture that helps you to feel more settled and centred. Whatever helps you to get into the right state of body and mind for us to pray together and be fully present to ourselves, to each other, and to that which lies within us and beyond us. Spirit of life, God of all love, in whom we live and move and have our being. We turn our full attention to you, the light within and without, as we tune into the depths of this life and the greater wisdom to which and through which we are all intimately connected. Be with us now as we allow ourselves to drop into the silence and the stillness at the very centre of our being. We gather in reverence and thanks for you, ground of our being, source of all good. We're grateful for the gift of another breath and for each precious moment of connection and beauty and truth. Cry with us in our pain for our world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. And remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need for today. Call us back to our promises, our commitments, and our values. Help us to love ourselves and each other and to show that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity and compassion. Free us from all that is evil. Keep us from wrong. For we declare that life and love are stronger than tyranny and fear, that a world of beauty and love is coming, and we must shape it together. And let us take a moment now to look inward, get in touch with what's real, what's going on beneath the surface of our lives this morning. Let us notice what we're carrying and what troubles us, what's bubbling up, any questions and uncertainties we might be faced with, any hopes and dreams that we're nurturing. And from that place of realness, silently and inwardly, ask for what you most need. Perhaps you'll ask God, or perhaps you'll cast it out into the universe. Even if you're the only one to hear your prayer, name what it is that you need this day. And let us give thanks for all that we already have. Let's look back on the week and recall all those moments of kindness, of comfort, of pleasure and joy. Let us silently take the time to savour all those gifts and take in the good. And let us turn outwards now, shifting our attention to the world around us, starting with those dear ones who are closest to our heart and stretching ever outward, reaching all the way around this planet as we hold all beings in the light of love. Spirit of life, God of all love, as this time of prayer draws to a close, we offer up our joys and our concerns, our hopes and our fears, our beauty and our brokenness, and we call on you for insight, healing and renewal. As we look forward now to the coming week, help us to live well each day and be our best selves, using our unique gifts in the service of love, justice and peace. Amen.
Well, this is called the Beatitudes, and it's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 1 to 14. Seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and when he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For so men persecuted the prophets who went before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trodden underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city set upon a hill cannot be hid. Nor do men light a lamp and put it under a bushel, but on a stand, and it gives light to all the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven."
Thanks, Juliet. Time to sing again now. Our second hymn is number 152 in your purple books. Thanks be for these. We don't sing this one often, so we'll hear it in full before we do. Hymn 152.
Oh Being, Being Salt and Light by Brian McLaren. When I was a teenager, the idea of religion making you different was not a new idea to me. Unfortunately, in my experience, religion made you different in an odd, outdated, and maybe even harsh and judgmental way. To be a Christian was to hold yourself above and apart from secular people and people of other faiths. But one of my spiritual mentors, Rod, said something very different. Most of your fellow students are trying their hardest to be cool, but you can choose a different goal. You can make it your ambition to be warm, a warm and loving presence in the world, as Jesus was. Rod believed that our calling was to be joyfully in the world, in deep solidarity with our neighbours, loving them as equals rather than considering ourselves holier than thou, and therefore better than them. Rather than judging them or evaluating them for where they fit on our scales or standards, Rod recommended that we compassionately understand every person we encounter, approaching everyone, no exceptions, with empathy. Of course, Rod was just echoing what Jesus said in the most intense, concentrated example of his public teaching, which we call the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 1-12. The sermon begins with a set of sayings that begin with, "Blessed are." Most people interpret these statements as a way of saying, God blesses these people to the exclusion of others. I've come to understand the Beatitudes as a way of saying something very different. The Beatitudes say, we, in this new movement, bless the very people who are usually excluded. Jesus says in this movement, we bless the poor and the poor in spirit. We bless those who mourn. We bless the meek or gentle. We bless those who hunger and thirst for justice. We bless the merciful and the pure in heart. We bless the peacemakers and those who are persecuted for standing up to justice. And then Jesus continues, we see the world differently because we bless people who are usually forgotten, despised, or excluded. That different way of seeing the world leads to a different way of being in the world.
Thanks, Brian. So we're moving into a time of meditation now, and to take us into the stillness, I'm going to share a short reflection on what it means to be the salt of the earth from Margaret Feinberg. And that ends with an invitation for your own reflection. So we'll take that into a few minutes of shared stillness, which will end with the sound of a bell, and then we're going to hear some more music for meditation. So do what you need to do to get comfortable. You might want to get your feet flat on the floor. You might want to close your eyes. And these words, they're just an offering. Feel free to use this time to meditate in your own way. As the salt of the earth, we are agents of human flourishing. We are the salt poured on that which is foul in order to foster fresh, new life. Don't forget, the kind of salt the disciples used was harvested with its surrounding minerals. Those trace elements gave the salt its uniqueness. It's your particular minerals that bring salvation to a dysfunctional and dying world. It's hard to know where to begin some days. I become overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of need that floods my inbox and my social media. I once stumbled on wisdom tucked into some ancient Jewish writings in the Talmud. There it says that if someone is suffering and in need, and you can take away 1/60th of their pain, then that is goodness, and the call to help is from God. This is a powerful expression of being the salt, the preservers, the flavourers, the fertilisers of the earth. The fraction, 1/60th, is loaded with freedom. This liberates us from the pressured thinking that whispers, everything depends on you. Your one little grain of salt can help with something someone else's grain couldn't. And when all the grains get sprinkled and mixed together, preserving and flavouring and helping others flourish occurs everywhere. None of us are meant to preserve the whole earth, flavour the whole world, flourish the entire planet on our own. Yet you can begin today by asking God to bring to mind someone for whom you can ease 1/60th of their pain. Words from Margaret Feinberg. So as we enter into this time of shared silence and stillness, I invite you to meditate on this. Where can you sprinkle your little grain of salt today?
Hope you can all hear me okay? Good. Some of you may remember the wayside pulpit posters that evangelical churches often displayed in order to attract passers-by to their church. These were usually quite cheesy. For an example, the letters CH followed by 2 dashes and the letters CH. What's missing? You are. Get it? Then one day there was one that really made me smile. You are called to be the salt of the earth, not the vinegar. I am sure we all know instinctively that we'd rather be the salt than the vinegar. We wouldn't want to be seen as sour, miserable, judgmental people, which vinegar seems to suggest. Remembering this poster set me puzzling on what it actually means to be the salt of the earth. Is this something we as individuals or as a church should aim to be? The words come towards the end of the Sermon on the Mount when Jesus has just set out which people would merit a blessing. He then affirms his disciples as being the salt of the earth. In ancient times, salt was so precious that Roman soldiers, it is said, were paid in salt. And the salt trade was as important then as the oil trade is now, and its path crossed those regions in the Middle East where today so many people are suffering daily violence, hunger, and pain. Like most of you, I expect, I had never paid much attention to salt. I sometimes saw it spread on winter roads to prevent ice from forming. It would appear on dinner tables, where it was usually ignored because we had been warned against using too much. For years, I had followed this advice. I never salted the water in which I cooked vegetables, for instance. Then, after a hip replacement operation, I became very unwell because I didn't have enough salt in my body. I spent over 36 hours in a state of utter confusion, unable to remember my date of birth or my postcode, and obsessed with asking the name of the fruit with the thick yellow skin. It didn't matter how often I was told it was a banana. Within minutes, I had forgotten again. It came as a surprise to me that salt plays such an important role in our metabolism. It even has a role in the contractions of the heart muscle. Fortunately, after being made to eat multiple packets of Walker's Ready Salted Crisps, which I hate, and after a couple of intravenous saline infusions, I began to make sense of the world around me again. So, whilst too much salt is definitely bad for you, it appears that not enough can be just as bad. In the part of the Ile de Ré where we spend a lot of our time in the summer, there are lots of salt marshes. There is something magical about the way the salt forms as the saunier patiently manages the flow of water around his carefully tended salt marsh, and then rakes the salt into little piles of white crystals which glow under the blue summer skies. Salt production plays a significant role in the economy of the island, and it only needs the warmth of the sun to produce the salt as the water evaporates. It's a gift of nature. But salt also forms underground, and we've all heard of people being sent to the salt mines in Siberia as a punishment. Then recently I read an article about a hospital in Armenia which was actually in a salt mine. Patients with respiratory problems spent time there because the salty air had such a beneficial effect on their breathing. So, a place that can be used as punishment can also be used to heal. Salt still plays an important role in our economy. only 10% of it is used for human consumption, and the other 90% is used in the production of such things as nylon, bleach, glass, and pharmaceuticals. And like many sayings in the Bible, the words have slipped into our everyday vocabulary. In a series of interviews undertaken in Clacton, where the people are on Thursday going to have to choose between 34 candidates in a by-election caused by the resignation of their previous MP, an interviewee was described as a sort of the earth reform voter. Not being sure what was intended by this, I asked Google what sort of the earth meant, and the AI overview said it meant a person who is fundamentally honest, reliable, and kind. I think the interviewer was implying that this voter was an ordinary, decent fellow who had decided that he was prepared to give Nigel Farage another chance. Theologians often struggle with understanding what Jesus meant by salt of the earth, because in biblical times, salting the earth was something people did after destroying their enemies. Too much salt on the soil causes severe hydration, destroys the soil structure, and prevents plants growing. A punishment which was intended to have the effect of starving the population. In his list of things that salt was used for, the theologian Andrew Wilson concludes it could also be used to fertilize the soil. Perhaps salt is very much like human beings. There's a lot of it, and it's very complex. We are many, and we are also complex individuals. We are all capable of being good and bad, useful and harmful. We can preserve life or destroy it. I recently read an article in The Guardian describing the growth in what we might call designer salts. Pink Himalayan salt, black salt, smoked sea salt, and Kalahari desert salt. After introducing the reader to these various salts, the writer ends. In times of economic uncertainty, a pinch of something special feels like an achievable everyday indulgence. Is that what we should aim for? Being a pinch of something special? Unitarians frequently ask, how can we reach people who might need what we have to offer? A notice board is one way of doing this, and the poster on our notice board reads, "What shapes our lives are the questions we ask, refuse to ask, or never think to ask." These words by the American philosopher Sam Keen announce to the world that this is a church that asks questions rather than one that supplies answers. A church that asks questions may not appeal to people who want the reassurance that all will be well and all manner of things will be well. I can understand how, given the state of the world at present, there may be many people who are looking for that reassurance, and questions that shape lives may not lead there. Asking questions can sometimes unsettle us, disturb our equilibrium. Yes, we should offer to comfort and support people in times of stress, but shouldn't we, as a church, be more than that? I know that we all need times of calm in our lives, but being calm all the time would stop us from doing things. Fiona Bailey, founder of the Each Child Alike project to create a quilt in memory of the children killed in Gaza, shared some words with me that she had found online. It's not calm that gets us out of bed to finish the work, protect the child, or read the poem. We are alive because we are in motion. We move because something moves us. Perhaps we can be that pinch of something special that moves someone to join in the struggle for peace and justice. Being part of a questioning community, a place that promotes critical thinking rather than accepting placid acceptance of mainstream narratives, can encourage us to deepen our understanding of world events. There are many things that should concern us right now, climate change being one of the most important. We probably all have a justice issue that speaks to us, and as you know, the plight of the Palestinian people weighs heavy on my heart. I started asking questions about Palestine in 2008 when I read about a war in Gaza which killed 1,400 Palestinians. I wondered why our politicians did not condemn this violence. Then in 2014, the year of another war which killed over 2,000 Palestinians, I read a book called, put it here, Faith in the Face of Empire by the Palestinian Lutheran pastor Mitri Raheb. I've just been rereading parts of it and find that my notes at the time indicate that I knew very little about Palestine. For one thing, I did not know that Palestinian Christians live with the same restrictions, harassment, humiliation, and violence as their Muslim neighbours. That's when I started asking questions. I have now read over 20 books by Jewish, Christian, and Muslim writers, Israeli and Palestinians, historians, political analysts, novelists, and poets. The questions I asked have certainly shaped how I see the world, but have also brought me to an uncomfortable place. They have made me a passionate advocate for the rights of the Palestinian people to live in dignity and freedom in the land of their forebears. And this is not a comfortable place. Questions have the power to disrupt how we think and how we live. Those of us who watched the climate change film a couple of weeks ago would probably agree that that raised questions that have left us in an uncomfortable place. The verse in Matthew ends with Jesus asking, "If the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored?" With Israel still bombing Gaza and the raids on Palestinian villages in the West Bank becoming more frequent, my advocacy seems futile, and my salt is often in danger of losing its saltiness. But being here with others who have a longing for peace and justice, whether it is for the hungry and homeless, for our planet, or for Palestine, is the way my salt regains its saltiness. Perhaps it is the same for you. I do hope so.
Thanks, Patricia. One last hymn now, and it's as on topic as it could possibly be. It's on your hymn sheet if you're on the building, and it's called Salt and Light. It is a tune we've sung recently, but we don't know it that well, so Andrew will play it through before we sing Salt and Light. Just time for a few speedy announcements now. Thanks to Patricia offering our reflection today. Thanks to Azita doing the tech for the first time with Ramona in support and on a very tech-stressy day as well. Thanks to Lachlan for co-hosting online, and if you're online, please do stay for a chat. Thanks to Sophia and Andrew for lovely music, and to Benj for supporting our singing. Thanks to Juliet and Brian for reading, and Patricia for greeting, and David for making the tea. 2 weeks in a row. What a hero. If you're in person, we've got apple and sultana cake or green gauge hazelnut and chocolate. There you go. Tonight and Friday at 7, we've got our Heart and Soul gathering on the theme of foibles. Sign up with me if you want to come along to that. The Better World Book Club is on the 30th, and we've got one copy of that left to the book Upstream, How to Solve Problems Before They Happen. That's on the shelf at the back if you want to borrow that. And we just want to give you a heads up about services towards the end of the month. On the 23rd of August, the service will be in-person only. That will be led by Jasmine. And on the 30th, it will be online only, led by me. That's due to not having a tech host on the 23rd and the Notting Hill Carnival on the 30th. I'll remind you nearer the time. Next Sunday, me and Roy will be co-leading the service on sacred seeing, and that will be followed by yoga and the crafternoon. So bring your sandwiches and stay all afternoon. All this is on the back of your order of service. It's in the Friday email. We've got a lot going on beyond Sunday mornings, so do what you can to nurture supportive connections. Just time for our closing words and closing music then. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There is too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world to not do the holy work of healing every day. So let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more compassionate and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Amen.